Greetings, friends. This is Agamemnon. Hello. Just wanted to welcome you to a preview of a new show that's going to be broadcast weekly, as you saw in the credits, by sc2mistakes.com and on YouTube. It's going to be entitled StarCraft Happy Hour, and it's going to be every Monday, and it's basically going to be the same basic format that we've had on SC2 Mistakes on YouTube for all this time. We're going to be examining mistakes, talking about how to fix that mistake, and if we have nothing to learn, then we're just going to check out some subscriber replays and have a whole lot of fun. So hope you guys are going to tune in on Twitch TV every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And if you don't get to tune in, you don't get to drop by, that's fine. Be sure to go to YouTube and check out the archives, just like you've been doing all this time. So, for tonight, because this is just the preview, we just wanted to test out our intro, check out our production a little bit. The webcam right there could use a bit of an upgrade. But what we're going to do is we're going to take a couple replays, actually, that were sent in to us by a subscriber. And his name is really weird. And actually, he's communicated with me a few times with about 4 different names, so I'm not really sure who he is exactly. But I know he's a subscriber, so you could be like him and have your replays cast. He was asking for some help. He wants to know what he's doing wrong and why he can't get it a bronze. And what we're going to do tonight is we're going to take 2 topics. So for Happy Hour, the preview Happy Hour, we're going to be talking about 2 very simple things. We're going to be talking about control groups, and we're going to be talking about macro mechanics, because from his replays, those are the 2 things that I think could really be improved. We're not going to talk about strategy or unit counters or any of that stuff. We're just going to talk about 2 things: control groups and macro, and see where he's missing in those 2 areas, and hopefully we can help him improve in that. So let's go ahead and pull up his replay he sent us. And again, guys, I invite you please to send all replays to info@sc2mistakes.com. Pull the replay up here. Send your replays if you have a great game and you want to share it and you just want to get it cast. Please send it. If you had a really crappy game or a bunch of crappy games and you don't know why you're losing, again, send it to us. We would love to see it. Alright. Oops. Hold on one second, guys. We're going to go into the SC2 cam. There we go. Alright. Excellent. Okay. So, this first game is between our subscriber and another, I believe he's a bronze player. And again, like I said, we got a message from, we'll see his name. Let's bring his name up. Alright. So, Zicto. Wow. Could that be toxic moved around? Maybe it's toxic. Alright, let's call him Toxic because it's just a lot easier for me. Alright, so in the top right position, this is Antigua Shipyards. It has 4-player map with off positions. They're not right in the corners. In the right top, we have our friend Toxic, who wants a little bit of help. In the top left, we have Wojcik. Waj. Let's say Waj. Okay, we have Waj. And Waj is in the top left. And again, this is on the EU servers, just so you guys know. Unfortunately, we were not able to, until Heart of the Swarm, I don't think we're going to have cross-server play. So, unfortunately, we weren't able to actually get together with Toxic to play and test out how he's doing. But we can watch his replays. So, first of all, what I want you guys all to notice, standard building, very good with the barracks, supply depot barracks first at the ramp. good timing to send out a scout. That's excellent. What I do want to notice is that there's only one control group being used right now. Okay? So we've got one control group, and that is assigned to the command center. Okay, that's fine. What we're going to cover is that everything should be control grouped. And I mean everything. Okay, I'm not saying every single worker, but I'm saying all your command centers, all your production buildings, all your research buildings, every group. This is my recommendation. Okay, remember, I'm not preaching to pros here, and may I just say that it's too bad that I'm here by myself. Furious was not able to make it. He is away. He is on a retreat, getting his energy up for more StarCraft action, but right now he's not able to be with us. But next week, when Happy Hour actually launches, he will be here. Absolutely. No, but what I mean by control everything, and first of all, I'd like to see worker production. Okay. Do we have worker production coming? No, we don't. Okay, so we've dropped money into an extra command center. In the meantime, we don't have anywhere near saturation on the main. This is a macro mechanic that we're going to talk about a bit later. But again, sorry, let's just get back to the control groups. If you find it difficult to assign control groups, my recommendation, again, is use control groups 1 through 6. So I used to play with 1 through 0, like 1 to 10 control groups. But I highly recommend only using 6. And what I'm going to do is in the description, I'm going to put a link to a blog that I wrote on how to assign those 6 control groups. I think we do touch on it in the APM video, so you might want to check that out. But essentially, 1 is my army. 1 is my army. 1? Yeah. 1 is my army, my main army. 2 is, for example, stalkers, or a unit that I want to micro a little bit more. 3 is a caster unit. So if you're Terran, like our friend Toxic here, 3 might be a scout, or it might be a raven, or it might be a ghost. Something that you kind of want to operate not necessarily apart from your army, but you want to use it, you want to be able to isolate it very quickly. You can hit 3 and you get all of that unit, and you're able to use all their special casting abilities. 4, I make use of that on my command center, my Nexus. Actually, it's all of my Nexus, to tell you the truth. So, again, Toxic, what he's got here is he has 2 command centers on 1. On control group 1, that's great. That's excellent. Me, I use 4, but I have all my command centers, all my Nexus, on that 1 control group. 5, I like to have for my production facilities. So, for example, what I'll do is I'll put my factory, my barracks, all of these producing buildings on 1 hotkey. And let's just see if I can actually. I don't think I. Yeah, I can group. So once you have them all on hotkey, then you can see what I'm doing here. I'm tabbing through each building type. So I highly recommend that you should have all your production buildings on 1 control group. Choose what you want, but stick to it. And all your research buildings, even for example your tech labs, armories, etc., have them all on a separate control group as well. And I would recommend for anybody who is just trying to get used to control groups, use a maximum of 6, but use all 6. Okay, so 1 to 3 is your army and scouts and stuff. 4 to 6 is all your buildings. And if you have multiple buildings, you can use the tab button to cycle through to different ones. So the reason why this is so important is because while he has both of his command centers on 1 control group, there are a lot of things being missed when it comes to factories, barracks, for production that could happen if they were all on one command, or sorry, one control group. They could be selected at the same time and mass produced. So that's something that I would like to see. I think that's pretty simple. Maybe we're probably not going to touch too much on control groups anymore. If you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments. Now I'd like to talk a little bit about the macro in this game. So what we're going to do is look first of all at the main base. The main base has a pretty decent saturation. We want to see what's on the mineral line. We don't yet have 24, and at the natural expansion we only have 7. Okay? What this tells me is that our friend Toxic did not do, and I'm sorry guys, I know there's battles going on, but we got to look at something more important. What our friend Toxic did not do is when he put down his natural expansion, he did not do a worker transfer. So if you're going to do a fast expansion like this, at the very least, transfer 6 to 8 workers. As soon as that natural expansion goes up, transfer those workers to the expansion and continue building workers. Obviously, the number one rule of macro period is constantly build workers, and we can see right now that that's not happening, or there's been pretty big gaps in that. So again, whenever you make a new expansion, when that expansion goes live, do a worker transfer. You have to do it, or else you'll get oversaturated at your main and you will be undersaturated at your natural. So we're seeing that. What we're also seeing is gaps in worker production. Got a little drop coming in here. The one thing I will say, I think Toxic is supply blocked as well. Okay, so this is part 2 of the macro mechanics that have to be followed. Do not get supply blocked. Do not. So supply blocks should be viewed as unacceptable, if I can say it that way. You should be in the habit, everybody, we should all be in the habit of making workers constantly, so that we're saturating our mineral lines, and then we can take expansions as well. The other thing that should be just total habit is not just making workers, but putting down supply, putting down depots, putting down pylons, building overseers, I think they are. Those are 2 mechanics that you should just never see a gap in. And that's a really good goal. If you can get through a game where you did not stop worker production, where you did not stop supply, where you didn't get supply blocked, you know you're doing pretty good. Now, I think it's about at this time. Let's just pause for a quick second here. I want to click on this orbital command. Alright, so we're going to hit play, and I'm going to speed up the game for a quick second. Look how long it takes for a worker to be built. We're looking at the orbital command, only the orbital command. There's 2 that get built at about the 15-minute mark. Alright, let's wait for the next batch to come out. 17. We're at the 18-minute mark. 19. Alright, like we're really getting up there. 19, 20, 21 is coming up. Sorry guys, I just want to show you this, because this is a very common bronze mistake. A little bit of chatting going on. And I'm actually going to pause it. I think I'm going to pause it right about here. Okay. So I want to pause this, because what I've been saying all along is constant worker production. We've just seen about 10 minutes where there have only been 2 workers made. But now you're probably saying to me, well, Agamemnon, why would he need to be making all these workers when he's mined out his main? Alright, that's a valid question. The answer to the question lies in this. Let's take a look at his natural expansion. 11 workers on his natural expansion. A saturated mineral line is 24 workers. An optimal mineral line is 18 workers, or about that. Let's look at his third. His third has, looks like 2 workers on the mineral line. We, again, would like to see close to 24. He's taking a fourth, and again, there are no workers on the gold. So what would have happened, friends, if half of these workers had been transferred at the beginning, as they should have been, to the natural, and when the third went up again, there could be another transfer from the natural or also from the expansion. We could have almost full saturation on 4 bases, whereas now what we're looking at is 0 saturation on the first base, light saturation on the natural, almost 0 saturation on the third, and technically 0 saturation on the fourth. So this is a very deceiving point for bronze players, and I really want to drive this home. When we take a look at this number up here, Toxic could look and he could say, hey, I'm nearly maxed. I've got $2,700 in the bank. I've got $1,000 in gas. I must be doing pretty good. The point is, these numbers are too high. We should be able to spend that money. And this max could have happened a lot sooner, not at the 23-minute mark, but a lot sooner in the game had the macro mechanics been followed of building your workers, not getting supply blocked, transferring your workers, and saturating your mineral lines. The other thing to mention is that, all that aside, if you ever find yourself with this much minerals, this much gas, even if you're maxed, dump that money into production buildings. I don't care what it is. In this case, what I'd like to see is a whole bunch of barracks. I mean, like spend it all on barracks. I'm going to hit play. Spend all of it on barracks, just to get like mass marines, because you're almost maxed. But what's going to happen is when this army engages and you lose the army, you'll be able to rebuild like that. However, if you let that money just kind of build up in the bank and you don't build any new production structures, as we can see, none of that's happening. There is research, so that's good. But there's no new production structures, and this money is just piling up. So I would really recommend, if you have lots of money in the bank, maybe your macro has not been tight, the way out of it is build a bunch of production structures, or max your production out of what you have. But if you're at max, you can't do that. So I would say build a whole bunch of buildings and just go nuts. Again, we're nearing the end of the game. It's almost at the 30-minute mark, and we can still see very light saturation, very light saturation, very light saturation as well. So if we were going to drive home any point for our friend Toxic, and again, thank you so much for the replays, and I hope you don't mind us giving you a little bit of critical suggestions. But this game was not won or lost by any specific battle or by tactics or what units were built. The two things that we need to do is control everything and get our macro mechanics up to snuff. So that means, and again, I will say Toxic, what he did really well was spending his energy at his orbital commands. That was excellent. But the worker saturation could be better, and the constant worker production definitely needs to be better. Alright, so that's the end of the game, and our friend Toxic actually did win that game, so congrats to him. Let's take a look at our time. I'm going to see how much time we have left, because Toxic sent us one more game where he actually did a lot better, and I think you guys would probably enjoy taking a look at that. So let's get out of here. Alright, sorry guys, just hanging in with me. Hey everybody. Alright, so how long have we been... Well, actually I haven't looked at the time, so... Alright. Let's do one more quick game, and we're going to see that Toxic has actually improved his macro a lot. So, let's jump into that game. I want to show you guys that. Alright, here we go. Again, just wanted to remind everybody that we're going to a new format. It's going to be Monday evenings on Twitch TV at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And it's entitled StarCraft Happy Hour.